That's a good point, Joe. Yeah.
A couple additional questions. If funding for Holly Navarre water system was approved, let's say tomorrow, their board decided, yes, we're going to do the $7 million in our share. Do we know when we would be ready to move forward and what the funding source would be for our 13 or 12.8 million? We'd heard pot 3 thrown around, but pot 3 is not big enough for this.
No, so first of all, I'd like to start by saying pot 3 is by far the most complicated funding source, so I'm going to try and make this as straightforward as possible. Right now, there's about $5 million programmed into pot 3. Right now, that is programmed for years approximately 10 through 13 of the program. So that's approximately 10 through 13 if 2019 is year 1, so about 10 years or so from now. However, having said that, there's some flexibility. The Gulf Consortium has agreed to reevaluate the funding plan every 4 years. So there'll be a new funding plan, a new mini funding plan 4 years from now. So if the board or if the county were interested in moving forward more quickly or potentially allocating more funding to this project, there should be that opportunity.
But then, just so we understand, the first project is the Soundside Drive septic to sewer conversion. That one will be largely complete, if not totally complete, in the first, before that evaluation would take place.
Yes.
So basically, we'd be deciding on if we'd want the Navarre Beach project to move ahead of the Holly by the Sea septic to sewer conversion project.
That's correct.
And of the 12.6, $5 million right now is currently earmarked for the Navarre Beach project.
That is correct.
Okay, but obviously, I think where that's important is Holly Navarre Water is probably operating under a timeline that is much, they're going to need to increase effluent disposal capacity faster than 10 years from now. We just recently approved that Williams Creek Greskovich expansion, and I believe that added 250 to 300,000 gallons a day. So with the growth rates that we have now, I think they have 8,500 in their system. Sewer customers, they're probably going to be bumping up against their capacity again. So is there any idea or any understanding of how long they're going to have before they need to add or have additional effluent disposal capacity online?
I don't know. I don't know. I defer to that.
Then I'll go back to the other one. Is there a plan B for Santa Rosa County? Let's say because of the timeline, Holly Navarre Water System identifies another partner or another way to increase their effluent disposal capacity. What's the plan B for Santa Rosa County to end the practice of putting effluent in the Sound? Go it alone? That's the fallback position, is that we would spend the $23 million ourselves and go it alone.
If we don't work out between Gulf Breeze, South Santa Rosa, and Holly Navarre Water, it would be go alone. And I think our study looked at doing that very thing, and I think the route we had chosen may have been the one that hangs it on the bridge and was the least cost. Joe, out of the 36 alternatives?
It's the route we show. It's a little deviation, but it's north of the crossing.
But basically, Santa Rosa County would be looking at around a $23 million investment to go it alone if we cannot work out a deal with Holly Navarre Water System sooner rather than later.
That's correct. I don't know if the 23 million was included the present worth, of the O&M associated with it, but
I was just going off the 20 million that you had here, and you were saying that you'd have to add 3 if either one of them went alone. So then I guess it's important for the board to start considering what funding sources there would be for the portion that Santa Rosa County would be responsible for paying, because if Holly Navarre Water System is operating under one timeline where they need it in the next 36 months, then in the next 36 months we would need to identify a funding source for how much of that 13 million that's our responsibility. All of it, some of it, could it be phased in, the ribs be phased in up there to where we wouldn't need, try to give an understanding of what Santa Rosa County taxpayers would need to come up with?
And that's a good point, because if it is a partnership with Holly Navarre Water System and they have funding available, if they have funding available for whatever it is that they were going to do to get capacity, then you could phase it so that they fund parts of it initially, and then the county, when funding becomes available, fund another phase of it. So that is an option.
Okay.
What are you talking about phasing now? Just the ribs area? Because once it's there, once it's on site at the ribs, it's on site.
That's correct.
Where would you
And when
get
I say
your
phasing, years, like a couple years, 2-3 years. If we needed to front load this thing because of the need of Holly Navarre Water System, that, and they have the funding available up front, they can fund a part of it, and then later, the county can fund the segment of pipe going from the sound to Holly Navarre.
I guess the reason it's important, Mr. Chairman, is if this board was not prepared to make the initial investment to begin our portion of effluent disposal, then they never get to partner with us. We've got the initial portion that we're going to be responsible for. That would be a significant investment, to do that first piece. And we know now that Pot 3 will not be a funding source that the county could use toward this project at a minimum in the first 4 years. So that would require identifying another funding source. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good report.